Hello and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hello, folks, and welcome to my show. My name is Avrum Rosensweig. In 1994, a war started, a genocide in Rwanda, perpetrated by Hutus towards the Tutsi population. It was at that time, as I watched along with the rest of the world, that I wondered to myself, what is it about my own community, the Jewish community, that we're very quiet in response to this terrible, awful war? And it was then that I decided to start a Jewish humanitarian organization called Via Hafta, the Canadian Jewish Humanitarian and Relief Committee. We worked really, really hard to try to make the world better through helping countries in need, such as Zimbabwe and Guyana. But that's not the point of the show today. The point is that in 1994, during this 100-day war, we were all privy to a terrible, terrible genocide, a war where up to 1 million people were murdered, many of whom were macheted to death. It was a terrible thing, and the world was predominantly quiet. The United Nations did not respond properly, and major countries who could have done something decided to sit back and watch. Now, that's a terrible thing, because what was going on in this African country was bloodshed unmatched by any war for years prior and afterwards. Today, we have with us as our guest Providence Nkurunzia. How are you, Providence?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great to have you. She's a survivor of the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. 5 of her siblings and her 2 parents, along with the rest of her extended family members, were killed during the genocide. She was 11 years old. She was 11 years old. So I want to take this opportunity once again to thank you for being with us, and thank you for your work, Providence, over the last number of years. I just want to add one piece here, and then we'll dive into our discussion. Providence worked at the Kigali Genocide Memorial and went on to found the Kabibo Niza Initiative, a nonprofit organization registered in the state of Texas that raises awareness of the genocide against the Tutsis and fights the denial in all its forms. Are you still surprised to this date that just as there's denial about the Holocaust, that there's denial about the Rwandan genocide?
Yes, I am very surprised that the denial and anti-Semitism, both of them are going on, and especially for the Holocaust, with all of these years after the genocide, after the Holocaust took place, and people who are denying that the Holocaust took place and the hatred is still going on. The fact that it's still going on, it's unbelievable. Like, how can someone deny the atrocities of the Holocaust? And I wonder, are we really learning from the Holocaust if the deniers are still, in our world of today? I feel like, is it 2024 where people are still denying what happened during the Holocaust? So, yeah, it's not right that it's still going on.
What's up with these people and their thinking? How did they think, those deniers?
For both of them, for the genocide and the Holocaust?
Yeah, what's going on in their mind? You and I don't say World War II never happened, Korea didn't happen, the Civil War never happened. We don't say that. Why do they?
Yeah, I think it's very dangerous if someone, dares to say such a thing that it didn't take place, or we're going to finish them again. So it's horrible. And especially for our young generation, for them to understand that it didn't happen, why we are thinking that they are supposed to know and they are supposed to be equipped to keep fighting for the best. But if the information of that the genocide or Holocaust didn't take place is still being spread around, then it's very dangerous. I don't understand myself how they can keep this thought in their mind that it didn't happen. And what's very dangerous is that they know that it happened, and it reflects the plan that they have, plans that they have to continue the hatred and finish, those who were able to survive, or the generation that was born after the survivors.
That's
That's
a good point. That's a good point. Those are the ones who want to continue the hatred. And we have to dig down deeply to figure out why that is, why such people exist. Now, firstly, I want to tell you that I adore your name, Providence.
Thank you. That's nice.
What a beautiful name. What are some of your siblings' names?
Oh, so we had Clementine, we had Clemency, and my brother, our firstborn's name was Lambert. So pretty much our uh, first names, they were French first names. And we had Francine, and we had Pelagie. So it's pretty much French, and some of the names are from the Bible or the cities. Providence.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Beautiful names.
Thank you.
So, as we discussed prior to our interview today, the war breaks out, but you're not home.
Yes.
Where were you?
Yeah. I was a family member. I was supposed to spend there 2 weeks, and the same day I was supposed to go back home, ready to go. My bags were very well packed. That's when she told me that I can't go back home because the airplane carrying the then president, that and everybody on board died. So she said that only the worst was going to follow, and I didn't understand why, because we didn't see this coming. It was a total surprise that, the killing was going to start. And after like 45 minutes, I was able to see what she was hinting. People were running, Tutsi homes were set on fire. They started to kill Tutsis with machine right away. So in the afternoon, the same day, maybe it was a Wednesday, it was so scary. Of course, we were trying to find somewhere to hide.
Did you manage to find a place to hide?
Yes, so I was with the family member, and I tried to find somewhere to hide. I didn't know where to go and hide. Didn't know what I was doing. It was just a situation where you just do something because you don't even have an idea of what you're doing. I am 11. I don't have someone I'm running with. And I will go hide in a house, get out, go hide in the bush. Sometimes we'll go to the bushes or in the swamps. Speaking of the swamps, when I talk about them, my children are asking, so did you see the alligators? Something like that. But it was really, really hard to find somewhere to hide because the killers, the perpetrators, the Hutu radicals, they were trained to search everywhere, every place you can think of, even the trees. They go and set the trees on fire or cut the tree because they were supposed to finish everyone to a point. The next generation is going to ask, how did the Tutsis look like? Yeah.
So you were 11 years old. It's a sweet age. It's a young age, young girl. What were you like as a kid? What were you like as an 11-year-old?
So I was curious and I was smart. I wish I was smarter than then. I was, I was making my father proud. I like to go to school, and also I was having a beautiful childhood because my uncles and their families and my aunts, they had many children. I think one of them had 9 children, and our family had 8. So we had friends and cousins and neighbors. So we were always, hide and seek and playing and laughing. So I was having a good neighborhood, a good childhood until April 7th, 1994, where everything changed, for good.
Now, you lost your mother and father. Was that early on in the war that you lost them?
Yeah, because I wasn't with them, I understand that they were killed towards the end of the month because they kept trying somewhere to hide, changing hideouts, and that's what everybody was doing. Going to the church, they will come, the killers, they will come and get you out of the church. You go to the, administrative offices, the facilities where you think you're going to be protected, and the killers, they will come and kill some, and if you get to survive, you go somewhere else. So they tried to survive until the end of April 1994. But I remember that one of my father's brother, he he died right away. He died the afternoon of April 7th, I think around 3 p.m. -ish. I can understand. I remember that he was the first one to be killed in the area. So they killed him with a machete and they left him on the ground. Yeah.
How did you find out about his death?
So the survivors who came running towards us, they were, trying to leave the area where we were living because my uncle, he got killed right away, and they were able to see that everybody's going to be killed the same way. So that's how I knew those who were still alive at that time, but they were killed also, you know, during the same month. Yeah.
What was your mom and your father's name?
My mother's name was Immaculate.
Really?
Immaculate in French. And my father's name was Augustin.
What was your mom like?
She was beautiful, and her skin was much lighter than mine. And yeah, she was known for that because she was a good mother to many children. I remember she also was a lady who was helping in our area. So she was known for a good heart to serve in the community. But my father was the same. So yeah, I come from a family that was helpful to others. That was always serving for the people of the community.
What did your father do for a living?
He was a nurse. Yeah, he was a nurse, and he would take care of everybody in the area. I remember by the time I was growing up, there was malaria. He was in charge of, the vaccinations, but also if a neighbor would have, to deal with a kid with malaria, my father, he will even go there to take care of them after work. So that was his job, and he liked it.
Was there a distinction for him between helping a Tutsi versus a Hutu?
No, not that I know of. Matter of fact, our parents never hinted to us. For me, they didn't hint to me that I was Tutsi. Everything that I know about being Tutsi, I got it from school. So they were helping everyone, and those they helped are the ones who came right away to kill our family. Yeah. And another thing that I want to mention is that by the time the genocide started, the killers, they targeted our family right away. My uncles, my aunts, everybody in our family on my dad's side, because we were living not far from each other. They knew they will go to this one, and once they leave, they go to the next one. So, yeah, that's how it was.
And there were 8 of you, 8 siblings, and 5 of them were killed.
Correct.
5 of them were murdered. Can you tell us one thing about each of the 5 who were murdered? Sort of bring back their memory.
Yeah. So I had the 3 oldest, and I have their collective memory together because they were in a higher generation than me, and they were in high school. And in our school system, when you go to high school, you go to boarding school. So a sweet memory of them that I have is how they came home with trending, they were, happy, and they had so much to share. They had so much, news from boarding school. It's like they were kind of bringing warmth in the home, and of course they protected us, because I remember that when I was a kid, other kids, they were always taunting us that because we are the majority, they are going to kill us. And my siblings, they protected me. They protected me, and I felt protected when I was around them. So when the time they were at school, I was really, really not happy. I couldn't wait the time they would come home. So I remember when my father was going to visit them, I was writing small letters for them, to telling them what's taking place at home, everything. And I would drop like 5 letters, trying to keep them updated of what's happening at home. Yeah, so that's the sweetest memory that I have. And I remember my father, when he would come back, he had their answers. So I was happy, and I couldn't wait for them to come home.
Yes.
And when I came home, I was shy to say hi. I would run away because, yeah, I was going to cry when I was going to hug them. So that's the memory that I have.
Providence, where are you in the family? As an 11-year-old, how old was everybody else?
So the first one, so there was a 2-year difference between each of us. The first one was born in 75, the second
77.
79, 81, and I am 83 because I was the 5th, and then 85, 87, and then the last born was born a little bit later. I don't remember if it's 90 or 91. I don't know, for some reason, I don't have a good memory of the baby boy, the last born. But I remember his face, but the year he was born in, I can't remember. But everybody else, it's
So how many girls were there and how many boys?
oh, so many girls, 6 of them and 2 boys.
2 boys. So the war is happening. You're trying to find a place to hide.
Yes.
Now, the war went on for about 100 days.
Correct. The genocide.
Right. So throughout that 100 days, where did you manage to put yourself? And who were you with?
So, yeah, I was with this family member. sometimes, and other times. So what happened in the genocide, you would run and try to find somewhere to hide. So you will listen to your guts. If the guts say, go hide, let's say, in the empty home of Tutsis who have already been killed, that's where you go. And as soon as you get settled in the house, that's when you remember, oh, this is a Tutsi home. They're going to come back to get their belongings. If they come back, they're going to find me. And that's when you feel like, let me go find somewhere else because this place is dangerous. So I was by myself most of the times, and I would run and meet with this family member again, run again, we part ways, and everything was happening in a circle. But one thing for sure is that you didn't know you're going to make it for the day. You were thinking, if you're not being killed that day, you'll be killed tomorrow. Or if you're alive in the morning, you'll be killed in the afternoon, because we kept hearing the news and what was happening, who have been killed, who have been thrown in the lake or river. So yeah, we were just wasting our time trying to hide because we didn't know who is going to come and kill you and when.
Can you at all remember that level of fear that you felt?
So I was feeling overwhelmed and hungry and thirsty, and I was ready to die. At some point, I felt like I'm tired of keep running and hiding and staying outside in the bushes during the darkness of the night, and to hide in the swamps when it's raining. At some point, the fear was gone, and I was ready to be killed like others. And I remember praying in my heart saying, I wish they can come and kill me. That way I don't have to keep running. Especially that I know my siblings and my parents, they were in danger. And another thing is they haven't been killed at the same time. They will kill two today and the rest is going to try to hide. Tomorrow they will come back and try to hide, to kill some. So they killed them slowly. They killed them slowly to a point. They finished them. So yeah, I was overwhelmed. I was confused. I knew, the death was waiting for me too. And I wasn't afraid because I knew if I was killed and my family is killed, then that's better. Why would I be a survivor? Why would I survive if I'm going to suffer after everybody is gone? And we didn't even think about surviving. Surviving is something that happened right after our country was liberated by the RPF in Motani. So we knew we were going to be killed. There was no idea of surviving until it happened.
How did you survive?
So yeah, I kept hiding. I need to hide. Find somewhere to hide. I think it's just a miracle that I was able to
A
survive.
miracle from God.
Yeah, it's God only because yeah, I didn't know where I was going, and this area was new to me. It's a miracle.
Do you look back on that and think to yourself, my 5 siblings perished, but I did not? Is there any guilt that comes along with that? You often hear such things.
Yes, that the guilt, that is what I have to deal with every day, that I survived and they didn't. Why? Maybe there is something I should have done for them to survive, at least to survive with 3 of them. I deal with guilty, I deal with guilt every day, and I don't know how the guilt is going to go away at some point.
What is that guilt, Providence? Just explain it a little bit further. one would think that maybe people who did survive would be so thankful to God or whatever their belief was, as opposed to feeling guilty. So what do you think that guilt is? Where does it come from?
So, yeah, when I was trying to hide, I remember the crowds of Tutsis, terrified, were running towards us. So they were trying to go everywhere and hide. And I remember one of them was my uncle's son, the first son. I remember his name was Christian. And of course, the guilt that I have for him is that his family was completely wiped out. Nobody survived. He was running towards us. I remember we talked for, I think, 8 seconds. He told me what was happening in our area because he was running from where we were living. So the guilt that I have for him is that I didn't convince him to stay with me. And I tried to give grace to myself, saying that myself, I was trying to hide. I was a kid. I didn't know,
Yeah.
I was safe, but it's something that kept happening in my heart that I didn't convince him to be together, to stay with me. And if we, now that I survived, maybe we're going to survive it together. So that's the guilt that I deal with. And another guilt that I have is that before 1994, around 1959, some Tutsis through the country, who was the neighboring country, Burundi, Uganda, Congo, and at some point I feel like my parents, if they had made a decision to go in this country, I was alive. And I know I have a family member who survived and said that our grandfather on my father's side, no, we're not going to leave the country. If you have to die, we'll die inside the country. We won't leave. We're going to stay where we live. We're not going to leave. We are not going to struggle going to a foreign country trying to live. Because the genocide, the killing of Tutsis started in 1959. In 1994 was, I would say, was the worst to experience. So the fact that they knew the killing has been taking place every year and then, 1959, 63, 73, they said, we won't leave. We're going to stay in our country. There is no way we can go and struggle. Yeah, so that's another guilt that I have, that maybe if our family would have decided to go, we will be alive. So that's how I feel.
During the genocide, what did you eat? Where did you find food?
There is no way you could find food because everybody was trying to hide, unless you have someone who has water and you can get some water to drink. But it was hard to find something to eat. You were facing hunger. There was nothing to eat, and you didn't have time to stop and eat. You were trying to hide at the same time. You were feeling hungry, and it was even harder to find somewhere to sleep. So nothing was normal.
Did you think that the women, that the Hutu women would be compassionate towards you?
No, because my uncle's wives, they tried to run to them, asking them to hide them, and some of them giving them money, but still they told them, no, we're not gonna do anything for you. God gave up on you, so we're going to take care of it. So that's what happened. And another thing is that during the killing, the Bible was used. They used scriptures, so it seems
yes,
that God has given up on. Yeah, they didn't show any compassion.
Did you think the ministers, the priests, would save you?
No, because I knew from where I was hiding that the churches were set on fire, and those who tried to go to churches were killed in in the first place. In matter of fact, we have churches that became memorials in Rwanda. So I didn't think about that.
So you really had nowhere to go.
You didn't know where to go. You just that. That's it.
So the war is over. What do you do? What happens? Where do you go? What do you do?
So the RB, the RPF in Otani, which is on power today, was trying to take all the survivors kind of in a camp where they're going to put everybody who is alive and take care of those who are dealing with the machete, wounds and everything, and those who were sick. Myself, I was sick, I remember. I don't know if I had malaria or something, but I know I was seriously sick. And the hunger. So that's where we went. And by the time I went there, my mother's mother was alive.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see her. And my sister, the one who is 2 years older than me, she was alive as well. So I was able to see some people who survived, but I still feel sad that I didn't see people that I know that I loved, those that I knew, they killed them right away. And I didn't, to tell you the truth, I really didn't care because it was horrible to deal with these 3 months of hiding. And the fact that I couldn't see anyone, yeah, I don't know how I felt. I wasn't excited because I knew, okay, the genocide is over. Then what? My father, my siblings, my parents are not alive. How am I gonna be? How am I going to, how am I gonna do? How am I going to go to school? I remember that was the first question to pop in my mind. Am I gonna go to school again? And I remember my grandmother at the same time when I was thinking about this, she was like, what am I gonna do with these children of my daughter? I don't have a job, I'm poor. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna be able to do? I remember again that she told us that God is the father of the orphans and the husband of the widows. Every desire we have, we don't have to share this with anyone. Just pray. We were taught to pray since your young age. Go ahead and pray. He's going to listen to your prayers. It was chaotic then.
You feel God listened to any of your prayers?
He did listen to all of my prayers.
All of them?
From then, after the genocide?
Well, I'm sort of touching on both. I know many religious people who prayed fiercely during the Holocaust, but their family wasn't saved. Is that God answering you?
So when I was in the genocide, I didn't pray for God to save me or to survive because I didn't know, first of all, there was going to be a chance of surviving. I was praying to be killed, not with a battery. At some point, not to be tortured before I was killed. But that was not an answered prayer. You remind me that prayer wasn't answered because I haven't been killed. But after the genocide, that's when I was praying constantly about every situation. Mm-hmm. And it was chaotic then. It was chaotic, and the country was trying to go back to normal. It was hard to see chaos everywhere. Go back to your village, nothing, nobody's there. And you can't understand how things are happening in a blink of an eye. How can everybody be gone this soon? And what am I going to do? So that was hard.
I'm just trying to understand. It's the day after the genocide's over. It's the week after. It's the month after. Where were you? Who were you with?
So This family member had um, she had friends that I was trying to stay with when I was trying to hide, and some of them were her husband's relatives. So that's where I tried to stay most of the times. And not many people in the area knew me. And I would say that's why I was able to survive, because they didn't know me. I remember one guy, he was a perpetrator, and he was hesitating, thinking, no, wondering why I'm still alive, because I looked like my father, and he was like, why is she still alive? I know we finished everybody in the family, so how is she still alive? And he tried to run after me. That was, a little before the genocide ended. And I tried to hide and run, so he lost a sight of me. That's why I say that for me to survive, it's just a miracle.
Were there any such things as psychologists, social workers, people whom you could speak with?
Mm-mm. I didn't speak with anyone about it.
Nobody.
Nobody.
When did you start speaking to people about it?
Like to share my story?
To digest and to let go of this harrowing experience that you had, to just to share it with somebody so you could breathe. Here we would go to a psychologist.
Yeah. But for our country, it was different because we didn't have such a huge number of psychologists, and also so many people were hurting. I know we had just 2 or 3 doctors, but I didn't get to talk to them. I know I started to talk when I was working at the Genocide Memorial. And with praying, I feel okay.
So at 12 years old and at 13 years old and 15 years old and 20 years old, how did you go through those years? Did you normalize things?
Um, so when I look back, that's when I see that it was different and confusing, because when you don't have parents and you don't have all the siblings to look after you, it's a hassle. It's rough. You do things sometimes your own way, and yeah, we. I mean, by we, I mean other orphans of the genocide, because there were many friends who were, orphans and survivors. We didn't know what we were doing, and we were always, living day after day. But for me, after the genocide, I didn't tell you this. Probably you're going to ask me, but let me tell you that 2 days after, or 3, we were lucky that my father's brother, who was living in the capital city, survived with his whole family, and he came to get us at the camp. Right after my grandmother prayed this prayer of how she's going to be able to take care of us. So we saw our uncle, we didn't know survived, showing up, asking our grandmother to let him take us in. So we went to live with him in the capital city, Kigali. So yeah, then we lived in his family, and that's how we were going back to school. We were able to go back to school and everything. But other than that, when you are an orphan and some genocide happens, everything's happening at the same time, you have this type of confusion going on in your mind. I would say in my case, you still have this conviction that it will happen. You will see your loved ones. I remember after the genocide, I would go to the markets, churches, just for the sake to see if I can see my siblings or my parents. Since I didn't experience closure, I was always hoping to see them, and I will go behind someone and think they look like my sisters or my brother, and I will pat them on the shoulder for them to turn around. They were like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I was thinking you're my brother." So this is another thing that kept coming in our mind, and I got to a point I had to understand that it already, took place. My people were killed, and they're not gonna come back at some point. I have to deal with it. So that was something that I had to deal with. But constant confusion, being overwhelmed, guilt, all of those things, I know it's common for the survivors.
When the genocide was over and you would be walking in the street, would you see Hutus who were involved in the genocide?
Yeah, and right after, one day or 2 days after the genocide, when I was on my way heading to the camp, I saw a Hutu neighbor, a woman, wearing my mother's clothes, and her children were wearing ours.
Aye.
Mine and my siblings, and this woman was wearing my mother's clothes. I didn't care much. Didn't care because I know that if you get to kiss someone, it's easy to get their belongings. So yeah, I was able to see them, and my grandmother, she didn't have any choice other than live next to them and have to deal with them every day. But yes, I saw them.
Did you ever take revenge in any way?
I didn't.
Did anybody take revenge that you knew of?
No, there hasn't been any revenge.
Why? Why?
Because we were instructed to not doing any revenge. We are a nation. Hutus and Tutsis they will have to live in the same country. We won't be doing the killing. Hutu killing Tutsi, and Tutsis are going back to kill Hutus. So the president said, we're not going to be able to do this. We're going to focus on rebuilding the country. Since our case is kind of different, we are brothers and sisters, speaking same language, sharing same religion, sharing a country, culture. We won't be able to do any revenge. So that's.
Do you have hatred inside of you?
I don't.
That's surprising, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I don't.
I'm always surprised. We have a Holocaust survivor here in Toronto. Beautiful man. His name's Nate Leipziger. And whenever he speaks, he says that it's the anger that hurts you. So he's let go of his anger. But not every Holocaust survivor feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Providence, when did you come to Texas? Or when did you leave Rwanda? Let's position it that way.
I came to Texas 2014, but I came to the USA in 2013. So 1 year after I got to the USA. So I am a Texan.
What was it like for you when you came to the USA?
It was good. It was good. And of course, when you live outside of America, you have a dream to see America. You know, America has a strong reputation, and yeah, it was a dream. It was a dream that was going to become a reality one day, and I felt good. It was too good to be true. I was happy.
Now, are you American?
Yeah.
Are you Rwandan?
I am.
Are you one more than the other, or is it pretty much equal?
More Rwandan than American.
You're more Rwandan. Now, the interesting thing about you have a husband, you have 3 children, beautiful kids. You would very much like to go back to Rwanda one day, right?
Yes.
That is a bit astounding to me, and I'm sure it is to some of our viewers, because I can only imagine the memories that you have of Rwanda. But you want to go back?
Yes, I want to go back because I think it's magic, the love one has for their country. I didn't know I loved Rwanda this much before I got here. So yeah, and I'm not the only one that feel like I know I love my country and my country is everything. So yeah, with everything that went, down and all the suffering and pain and losing my parents there, my everything that I loved in my life, but still I have a strong love for my country, my motherland.
What do you love about it?
I love food and I love how I feel when I get to Rwanda. Never felt, never in my life I felt the same when I'm not in Rwanda. So when I get to Rwanda, I feel me, like 100% me. And I have memories, I have friends, I know wherever I'm going, I don't have to use GPS, and I feel like this is my home and I missed being here. So I feel kind of settled when I'm in Rwanda, better than anywhere else.
Are you a nationalist? Do you love the country because Rwanda stands tall, like the Americans? We are America, the greatest country in the world. We don't do that in Canada. We're not nationalists here.
Right. No, I don't know. So after the genocide, I stayed in Rwanda for the longest of my days, and I left Rwanda when I was 30. So I knew Rwanda before the genocide, and I saw Rwanda through all of those situations, the seasons our country had to endure. And I left Rwanda on a good note. After the genocide, nobody was going to come and kill me again. Because when the genocide was stopped, it was stopped for good. And I was safe, though I had to deal with my own issues of, guilt and grief and trauma, but that was inside of me. Other than that, I was able to see the country be born again. And I'm not a nationalist. It's just that I know it's a country of my parents and my grandparents and my, all the people that I have.
Yes.
So that's probably why. And I had a good time, even after the genocide. So I had a good childhood, but also after the genocide, I would say, a good life compared to other survivors. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that for you. Now, you chose a very interesting direction in life for your career. We mentioned this at the top of the show. You worked at the Kigali Genocide Memorial, and then later on you went on to found the Kabibo Nisa Initiative, a nonprofit organization registered in Texas that raises awareness of the genocide against the Tutsis and fights the denial in all its form. You were also the first Rwandan and the youngest to be appointed to serve on the Texas Holocaust Genocide and Anti-Semitism Advisory. And just to take it a step further, you wrote a book called Next Couple of Hours. So rather than becoming an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer, as we say in the Jewish community, you decided to ensconce yourself in telling the narrative, your narrative of the genocide, helping out survivors. And I often wonder about individuals like Elie Wiesel who do that, because one would think that they would want to run as far away as possible from those memories but you didn't run away. You actually dove right in. How did you make that decision? Was it organic? Something you thought through? The opportunities arose?
Yeah, so I didn't know I was going to talk about the genocide until I went to work at the genocide memorial, because that's when I felt responsible as a survivor who was lucky not to be cut with a machete. I am so thankful that I don't have any physical scars because of machetes, and um, I am one of those few who were lucky to survive without those scars that I talked about. So I committed myself to be a voice, because when I was working there, that's when I was able to see how the visitors are coming to visit the country. They want to know what happened, and they want to hear from survivors. And that's when also I was able to meet survivors who, like women who were abused sexually and infected with HIV/AIDS. So those were the factors that got me, I would say, dedicated to do this work and to be a voice and to stand tall that the genocide took place. Because as this was going on also, we had guests who were saying, are you sure the genocide was against the Tutsi? Because of a book we were able to read in the past, or we talked with someone who says there hasn't been a genocide, it was just a civil war. And that's when I said, I am going to share my story. I'm going to honor the victims. I am going to revive the victims' values and legacy through education of the genocide. That's how everything started. And every time I did this, I reduced the guilt that I was dealing with, because I know as a survivor, I'm doing something. I am being a voice of my cousins who were my age and whose lives were cut short. So that's how everything started. I didn't know I was gonna be doing this until I got in the USA, and there was a strong demand. I would say I felt more committed to do it, because we had genocide deniers in America and everywhere. And since I was here, I was able to talk more because I had more people who were willing to listen. And I decided to continue.
You were a little girl in Rwanda during the genocide. You grew up in Rwanda without your mother and father and 5 of your siblings. You came to Texas. You ensconced yourself in speaking loudly about the genocide, ensuring, as you said, that future generations would never accept the lies that were perpetrated and would never allow for such violence. Then in 2023, April of 2023, you were invited to share your survival story with the Swedish Parliament and the United Nations in Geneva and Vienna, the UN headquarters. When you were standing up there speaking, could you believe it?
I couldn't. I
Right?
was surreal. Yeah. And I remember when I was in the Geneva airport, I met a friend from church, and I called her. She was like, girl, what are you doing here? And I told
Yeah.
her, I'm going to speak at the UN. She was like, no, are you speaking at the UN? So, and myself, I was surprised, and everybody else was surprised. So, yeah, I think that's the beauty of surviving. There are things that are going to happen to you when you didn't know you deserve them. You don't know that you deserve anything until it happens. That's what happened.
The Jewish people went through the Holocaust, which went from 1939 to 1945. once the Holocaust was over, we didn't waste a minute writing about what happened, speaking about it loudly, developing organizations that would ensure that survivors were taken care of. And once again, as you said, that future generations would know the Holocaust happened, and that we would fight against any such terrible tragedy happening again. Were the Jewish people helpful with the Rwandans, with yourself, in terms of helping to develop a structure to work with the survivors to get your voice out there?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I trust me today, an idea crossed my mind that there is a time I'm going to write a book sharing what I went, my life in America, how I was received in the Jewish community, and how I felt. So the Jewish community, the way they made me feel matters more than anything I can say. I can say that I experienced a healing only through the Jewish community. So what I'm trying to say is that I felt welcomed and I felt loved and I felt that I am one of theirs. When I have, even today, when I have to go somewhere, now that I am traveling, I am traveling to attend a conference in the UK about combating anti-Semitism. One thing that crosses my mind is that, do I have someone who can introduce me to the community member? Because I know they are the ones who are going to receive me in arms open wide. And that's really something that is, precious and priceless that the Jewish community did to me. And that played a huge role in my life, especially for the reconstruction of myself when I was in America. Yeah, I remember they were the first ones in Utah to invite me to speak to a school. A friend of ours, she invited me to speak to a school. And since then, when I saw the courage of the Holocaust survivors and the resilience and Holocaust museums everywhere, I was inspired and I was always seeking their help, and they were ready to help. They told me it's a Jewish culture. I know I was welcome to ask for help, or if I need an information, they will be the first ones to be there. So if I have to say one word, is that they have been there for me, but for my family. Matter of fact, our first daughter, we named her after a rabbi in Utah, Congregation Kolami. So we decided to name her Ilana because the rabbi, Ilana Schwartzman of Congregation Kolami, Salt Lake City, everybody, they made us feel like a family. And I am so, so thankful for that. And of course, I learn a lot from them.
Providence, we're going to wrap up the interview in a couple minutes. Before we do, I have to ask you, as I ask many of my guests, especially those who are not Jewish, with all that you know about the Jewish people and all that you know about Israel and how we operate, what we do, how we live, why are we so hated?
I don't understand. Because for me, if there is a good community that I know, it's a Jewish community, like I said. I don't understand why good people that I was privileged to meet can be hated this much. I don't see what they are doing wrong to be hated. That's why I don't understand why someone will have to deal with hatred towards somebody who is not going to hate them back. It's something that I struggle understanding. Why would you hate hate and hurt as well this community. Of course, when I feel like that, because I don't understand why they have to be this hatred keeps, raising, I am going to be a voice in this as well, to bring the reality of the Holocaust and combating anti-Semitism in our community to the people who need to know the reality, who need to understand the truth of what's happening, in the world of today, especially with the propaganda and the social media input in terms of, spreading the hate. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't understand why this hatred keeps rising, but I'm going to be one of those voices.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing that. How can people help you with your NGO?
They can make a donation to the organization through me. They are welcome to reach out to me. I am working on a website that is going to be out soon. And if someone is willing to be able to donate to the organization, they can reach out to me on social media, or they can send you a message and you're going to give me the message. That'd be it.
Okay.
Good one.
I like you very much. We did a pre-interview on Thursday just to walk through how things would go, and I really appreciated your dynamic spirit.
Thank you.
You have a lovely way about yourself. Do you like yourself?
I do.
You do, eh?
Yeah.
Did you have to work on that?
No. I know that the fact that I'm a survivor gave it another value that I will have to live, and I'm going to live a good life for even my loved ones, the life that they wanted me to have. I have to make sure.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank Tully Nates, who is the founder and the CEO of the Genocide and Holocaust Center of Johannesburg. I interviewed her a month or so ago, and subsequently I asked her for some referrals of individuals whom I could speak with, and guess whose name popped up? Providence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that she recommended you, because I don't know if it's correct to say I quite enjoyed our interview, but I did. You have like I said, you have a beautiful soul.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making me comfortable. I felt comfortable, and even our first interview, you have your way of making me laugh, and I making me comfortable.
So, Providence, you're going to pay for it, because I'm either going to visit you in Texas or you're going to visit me here, and you're going to make me a Rwandan meal.
Let's do it. The fact is, if you get to taste this food, you're going to end up, relocating to Rwanda.
You think so, eh? Everybody's going to go, where's Avrum? Oh, he's in Rwanda.
He's in Rwanda. And another thing is, you're not losing anything moving to Rwanda, because it's safe, especially for a Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be the rabbi there.
Yeah.
Ladies, one last question. Where can people get your book next couple hours?
They can get it on Amazon, but again, I said it's individual as well. If they feel like they want to get my book on Amazon, welcome to do so. Or they still can find me on social media, and probably if they want to place a huge order, they can place it, because every order that is passed through me helps in providing a support to a woman who is living with HIV/AIDS today.
Okay, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to an interview with my dear friend Providence. And once again, we're very grateful for her time and for her courage and bravery to express her narrative, and to remember it's not an easy thing. Here's a woman who stands tall every single day in light of, or despite of, what she went through when she was only 11 years old. Only 11 years old. She was brave then, and she's brave now. emulate that. Take away from her life what she has to offer to make yourself a better person, to make your community stronger, to make the world in which we all live in, that we all share, unified, because that is what Providence is all about. I look forward to being with you again very soon when we continue on our quest to introduce to you very inspiring individuals to help you develop your life, as I said, to make you stronger and better. And until then, we wish you very well. And we say, Am Yisrael Chai, the nation of Israel lives. The nation of Rwanda lives, right?
Right.
Right, exactly. And we will see you again soon. Thank you so much.